Well, hello, and welcome to our lesson today. Have I got a fun lesson for you? Today we are talking about something super cool. And the reason I say super cool, I think all topics in English are super cool, but this one has always been among my favorites, and it is because it has a simple rule to follow, but that many people don't know about this rule. So today we're talking about future time clauses, and I would like to welcome everyone who's joining us today. So welcome, Alagmir. Welcome, you guys. Thank you. If you're watching this now or later, I would like to welcome you and to explain. So, let me start by saying that this is a grammar issue, and I have heard many people make mistakes with this, even at an advanced level. Not many times in English we have the chance to have such a simple rule, but many people don't know about it, so that's why I want to talk about it today. It's actually very important, and when you get the correct rule of how to use future time clauses correctly, I think it automatically makes you sound a little bit more advanced in your practice and just a little bit more fluent and better. So without further ado, Yes, welcome. Thank you, guys. Please, if you're just joining, in the chat or in the comments, please write down your name and where you're watching from, because it's so fun to have everyone here. So, hello, Mohammed Kwang, Jay Beto, Raju, welcome. Welcome, everyone. And if I don't see you, you're also welcome, but sometimes I don't see all the comments. Without further ado, here is our lesson today. It's one of my favorite things to teach, has always been. So, future time clauses. Now, you may have wondered before, if you've seen this word in English, what on earth are time clauses or clauses in general? So, clauses are groups of words, but what's important about them is that they have a subject and a verb. They always come with a subject and a verb. They have to have the two together. In English, we have dependent clauses and independent clauses, and this is important to know. I'll start with the independent clause. In a sentence, an independent clause is a clause like the word independent. It's free. It can stand on its own. It makes sense on its own. So, for example, we have the sentence right here. When he got home, he turned on the TV. Now, as you can see, we have two clauses. I've marked them there. The first one is when he got home. The second one is he turned on the TV. I'm marking it wrong, yeah. So one is independent and the other one is dependent. And the way to kind of mark these, to kind of notice them, is by just looking at whether they make sense on their own or not. So if I talk about somebody who turned on the TV, then that sentence makes sense, right? He turned on the TV. Great, I get it. Perfect. But if I say when he got home, and that's it, you want to find more information from me. When he got home, what? What happened? I need more information. So that is why we call it a dependent clause, because it's a clause that needs more, it's not complete. It needs another sentence to make sense. But the reason I'm talking about this today is because the future time clauses are dependent clauses. So that is what we'll talk about. It's very important. And the one I have here, when he got home, it is a time clause. It's not a future because it's in the past. When he got home, happened already, but it is a time clause. And what do I mean by time clauses? So in English, we have noun clauses, we have adverb clauses, and we have adjective clauses. And this last one, some of the adverb clauses include time clauses, and those are the ones we're talking today. But there are other adverb clauses too, like cause and effect, condition, and contrast. So right here, for you guys, I have given you some of the more some of the most common clauses, and those are the first two, the time and cause and effect. And of course, they're common. We always talk about time. We talk about time every day, and we use these super commonly. So my first one is when she got home, she went to bed. As you can see, it's a time clause because it has to do with the time when she got home. And the second one, she went to bed because she was sleepy. It's green, just like my cause and effect up here. So this one is a cause and effect. I'm just giving you an example. We don't need to spend too much time on this. I just want you to see that in English we have different types of clauses, different types of adverb clauses. So if you are just joining, we are talking about future time clauses, and I'm explaining a little bit about what clauses are. And we are leading into adverb clauses and time clauses, which are adverb clauses. So to talk about time in English, especially when we are using more complex sentences, we use these time markers, okay? We use words like after, before, when, while, by the time, since, whenever, until, as soon as, every time, the first time. All of these, I call them time markers. This is what I've seen them called. I think they make sense to me because they mark time. Here for you, I've put the most common ones. These ones I hear all the time. I use them like every day, so many times a day. So I want you to use them too. So these words, whenever you see these time markers, I want you to think time clause, time clause, time clause, because they introduce a time clause, which is a dependent clause, so it cannot stand on its own. So whenever you see after or when or before, and you have a subject and a verb, it's going to be a time clause. Okay, so you guys are giving some examples. Very good. Yeah, when I receive notification about your video lesson, I stop gardening. Yes, that is a great example of a time clause. Perfect. So I have 2 examples here. And at this point, well, actually, let me read them to you guys first. The first one is, after I get home, I will eat dinner. And as you can see in blue, I've marked the time clause, after I get home. Second one, this one's my favorite because Wes, and it's Wes's favorite too. He loves to do dishes, you guys. He loves it. He does them all the time. It's the best. Wes will do dishes. Wes will do the dishes when he gets home. This is my second time clause. Both of these time clauses are in the future. And now we're getting into our rule. So before I show you what our rule is, I want to know if you know what this special rule is. I'm so curious. So if you do, write it in the comments right now. If you know what the rule is, write it down and I will check it. If you're watching this now, you can write it now. If you're watching it later, pause the video, write it down, and we will check it, okay? So if you know what the rule is, I don't like dishes. Yes, you do, Wes. You're so silly. Silly Wes. Okay, so if you know the rule, write it down. Okay? So let me show you. So future time clauses. So we've talked about time clauses. Just as a refresher, they have these after, before, when, these time marker words in them. But of course, when we're talking about the future, we're going to deal with something that hasn't happened yet. So these time clauses are time clauses in the future. Now, the special rule is, let's see if anyone has written it. No answers yet. The special rule is the following. If you guys look at my sentence right here, when I finish my work, I will go to bed. I'm talking about the future. I haven't finished my work yet. I'm not going to sleep. So I'm not talking about the present. So if you notice in my independent clause, I will go to bed, that is in the future. But the time clause, the one with the time marker, when I marked the verb there, it is in the present tense. Pew. That's my mind blown expression. The reason I say this is because when I first learned it, it was crazy for me. It was just something that I didn't expect. I thought, if you guys have studied parallel structures in English, they usually, we follow the same verb tenses. So in the past, for example, if you say, when he got home, he made dinner, you're using both clauses in the same tense, not in the future. Okay? In the future, you have to use the time clause in the present tense and the independent clause in the future tense. Very important. This is the rule, and it always works, and it will make your life easier if you practice it. Okay? So, exactly, if I watch this class, I will learn more. So that's perfect. Yes, and you cannot use will. No, you cannot. If you have a time marker in the time clause, you can, in the future time clause, you cannot use the future tense. So, as you can see here, back to my two sentences, we have after I get home, present tense. Not after I will get home. Incorrect. After I get home, I will eat dinner. The independent clause still has to have the future. Wes will do the dishes when he gets home. So gets is in the present tense. The other thing I wanted to mention is, as you can see here, these two, if you start with a time clause, you have to, just like all the clauses in English, if it's the dependent clause, if you start with it, you have to put the comma after the clause, and if you start with the independent clause, you don't have to put the comma. So if I start with the time clause, after I get home, comma, I will eat dinner. Or if I start with the other one, Wes will do the dishes when he gets home. Not when he will get home, when he gets home. Okay, I think you guys are going to, I think you guys are ready to do a practice, okay? So that is the rule. It's very simple. The simple present in the time clause, and then future in the independent clause. So what I have here is a series of sentences. I think I have 4 total, and what I want you guys to do is to identify. So right now in the comments, if you're watching it now, write it down now. If you're watching it later, pause the video and write it down. I want to see if you can identify the time clause. Write down what is the time clause. Write it down. Okay? So the first sentence is, we'll be here when you arrive tomorrow. We'll be here when you arrive tomorrow. What is the time clause? We'll be here when you arrive tomorrow. Write it down. Just the time clause. I want to see if you guys get it. I'm going to eat until to eat. You know what I have on my mind? Always food. I'm going to wait until the train comes. I'm going to wait until the train comes. What is the future time clause? Write it down. Okay. Now the third one has 2 sentences that have time clauses in it. I'm going to wake up at 7 a.m. tomorrow. After I wake up, I'll do my yoga. As soon as I finish working out, I'll take a shower. So these are the sentences. Let's see. When you arrive tomorrow, you guys are geniuses. You don't understand. This will make you sound so much better when you apply it, because it really does. When I've taught students this, even super advanced students, they didn't know. And when they speak, it sounds so much better. So I am very proud of you. You guys are getting it. Yes, great. Okay, the second one. Let's see how you guys are doing. Yeah, so yeah, look for the time markers, exactly. Look for words like when, until, as soon as, after, before, these kinds of words, okay? So let me show you the answers, but you guys did so well. So the first one, like you guys said, is when you arrive tomorrow. Yes, it has the word when, it has the present tense. Yes, that's the future time clause. Second sentence, I'm going to wait until the train comes. So if you said until the train comes, then give yourself a pat on the back, maybe a victory dance. Good job. You guys are doing great. For the third example, Nothing in the first sentence, but then we have after I wake up and as soon as I finish working out. Yes, you guys are doing amazing. So if you got these, congratulate yourself. You are an English master or on your way to becoming an English master. Doing wonderfully. Okay. So, like I said, it's one of those things that has a simple rule in English, but it's just even if the rule is simple, many people get this wrong. So it's important to just kind of keep practicing. And even if you've made a mistake, even if you didn't get it right, it is no problem because we have more practice. So you have more of a chance to practice. So here is my next practice. Now I'm going to give you a choice of two tenses, one in the future tense and one in the present tense, and I am switching things up. So now you have to know which one is the time clause, the future time clause, and which one is the independent clause, and how do you where do you put that present tense or the future tense, okay? So the first one is I'm going to cry when I see or will see my mother. I love my mother. I haven't seen her in a long time. So I'm going to cry when I see or will see her. Write it down right now in the comments. Which one is it? See or will see? Which one? It's in the future. Okay, number 2. As soon as the rain stops or will stop, I will go to the grocery store. As soon as the rain stops or will stop, I will go to the grocery store. Now remember, these are in the future. You have a time marker, look for the time marker and follow the rule. Okay, and the third one, he gets or will get here before we eat or will eat all the pizza. So now with this one, I'm being a little tricky. I am making you choose both of them. So you have to make sure that you don't confuse where they go. So he gets or will get here before we eat or will eat all the pizza. Now you guys, if you don't know the answer, if it's too fast, you can pause the video, think about it, write down, because I want you guys to practice with me, okay? So write down the answer, whether it's now or later, no problem, write it down. Let me see what you guys have answered. Yes, I'm going to cry when I see my mother. Before we eat, yes, good job, yes. Let's see. I will show you my... Ta-da! I will show you guys my answers. Okay, let's see how you guys did. You guys are doing really, really well. Yeah. I am going to cry when I see my mother. Right. The time clause is when I see my mother. It has the time marker when. So you don't want to say when I will see my mother. When I see my mother. As soon as the rain stops, time clause starts with as soon as, I will go to the grocery store. As soon as the rain stops, I will go to the grocery store. Yeah, very good. He will get here before we eat all the pizza, right? So he'll get here. It's more commonly used he'll get here before we eat all the pizza, right? So before is the time marker, so that is the time clause. So we make sure that in the time clause we stick with the present tense. You guys are doing wonderfully. I'm reading all of your answer. Because we are talking about the future, okay? So keep in mind that these are future time clauses. So you want to use in the independent clause, you want to use the future tense. But in the dependent clause, in the time clause, you use the present tense. So you have to show the future somewhere. And that is how the rule works. Okay, now you guys, we are going to do a very quick... very fun, actually. So if you guys have followed me for a while, you know I love emojis. Even Wes was talking about why do you love emojis so much? I think emojis are great. I think emojis help us understand. Um, it's another way to enhance the language. So I love them, and that's why I'm using them right here. So for this, I have a series of emojis, and your task is to complete the sentence. So what you have to do is I'm giving you part of the sentence, and the other part I've kind of written in emojis. And what you have to do is kind of try to guess, to complete the sentence, write out what I mean with those emojis. So for example, we have a plate and we have some food there. So how would we complete this sentence? So there's like, before we go to the cinema. So before we go to the cinema, if you see a time marker there, that means that we already have our time clause. So it means that you need an independent clause. So what can we add to make this an independent clause? Before we go to the cinema. Okay, so write down how you would complete it. Before we go to the cinema. Okay, and the second one, he'll go to work, and then again a bunch of food. I guess I'm obsessed with food, but that looks like breakfast to me. Just giving you ideas. Do you notice a time marker? If you don't, then it needs one. And if it needs one, it means that you're going to use a time clause to complete the sentence. Okay? So let's see what your guys' sentences are. We will eat dinner before we go to the cinema. Perfect, exactly. You use the future tense in the independent clause. We will eat dinner before we go to the cinema. Perfect. You guys are amazing. This is really, really good. Okay, now how about the second one? Any answers for the second one? So remember, it doesn't have a time marker. So you're going to need to add a time marker before, after, as soon as, when, once, whatever you want to do. A little time marker right there, and something that has to do with pancakes, bacon, and eggs. Egg. Okay, let's see what you guys are doing. He'll go to work after a good breakfast. Okay, almost. Very good. That's a good sentence. You just need to add, remember, a clause has a subject and a verb. So you have to introduce a subject and a verb right there. Yeah, you guys are doing amazing. He will eat something before, oh no, sorry, that's the cinema one. He'll go to work after he gets breakfast. Gets. Yeah, let me show you guys some possible sentences that you could have written. The first one, like we talked about, we'll grab some dinner before we go to the cinema. Again, your sentences are also correct as long as you used the future tense. We will grab some dinner, right? You need to have the future tense to show the future. And the second one, he'll go to work after he eats his breakfast. After he eats his breakfast, we need the present tense because we are using the time clause right there. Oops. Okay. Oh gosh. Sorry, my chat went away. I lost you guys for a second, but there you are. Okay. So those are my sentences. I hope you like my little bacon. I actually don't like bacon at all, but I thought that was a very, very cute image. So there's a bacon talking, telling you guys are doing a super job and you are amazing and English rock stars. Okay, so now I'm going to do more. Let's see what you guys have written. I lost you guys, so I'm trying to catch up. Yes, after he has a healthy breakfast, exactly. So you really want to make sure that you are using the present tense in the time clause. Okay, now this is a more advanced practice because now I am not giving you anything. But what I am showing you is a little bit about my day. So I want you to imagine that we are writing a little bit, kind of like a little story about my day. And my day starting from after I finish this lesson. So I just used a time clause there, after I finish this lesson, which is represented by the books. So I want you to write down a sentence or two or three or four based on the pictures that you have right there, using future time clauses about me, about my day. So I gave you some hints with some pictures over there. So there's a dancing girl, there's a bed, and then for tomorrow morning, there's like a sun, and then there's a coffee and an egg, and like somebody walking, and a dog, and a park, tree. So I want you guys to come up with sentences using future time clauses about what will happen after this class, okay? So I will start kind of go, and then while you guys are writing, I will check while you're writing. And please, if you're watching this later, feel free to also write, because we check everything. So you can pause and then write your comment, and then I will show you my possible sentences after that. So I will start and kind of get you guys there. So right now I want you to really, really, really think about possible sentences. Okay, so for example, so this is a story, so I'll start with, as soon as I finish this lesson, this is a possible sentence. As soon as I finish this lesson, so I'm using the present tense, I will go dancing. The dancing emoji, right? After I get home, see, I used again, after I get home, it's in the future, but I'm using the present tense. After I get home, I will go to bed. Let's see what you guys are doing. Yeah, so keep writing sentences. It could be about any of those images. This is about my day today. So as soon as I finish this lesson, I will go dancing. After I come home, I will go to bed. Let's see. When I wake up tomorrow, I will have a cup of coffee. When I wake up tomorrow, I'll have a cup of coffee. After I have my coffee, I will eat breakfast using those time markers before, so on and so forth. Exactly. After Johanna discusses the lesson, she will go for a stroll with her cute pup. Yes, exactly. So don't forget to write down full clauses. So the time clause will have a subject and a verb, and the independent clause will have a subject and a verb. But you guys are doing great, exactly. After Yana finishes the lesson, she's going to take a walk. Exactly. You guys are amazing. This is beautiful. So here are some of the things that I wrote down. After I finish this lesson, I will go dancing. As soon as I get home, I will go to bed. After I wake up tomorrow, I'll have a coffee. And I'm going to have breakfast before I walk the dog. So just keep in mind that this is how we use these clauses. Now, what I want to ask you guys right now before we finish is to write down in the comments something. I want you to write down in the comments something that you will do today after class using a future time clause. So it could be true or it doesn't have to be true. I just want you to practice. So you could say it really can be anything, but write it down, okay? So tell me about what you will do after you finish class today. After I finish watching this video, I am going I don't know, I'm going to go scuba diving, or I don't know, whatever you want to do. But write it down in a full sentence, because that will help you practice. So I really hope you enjoyed this lesson. I really did. It's, like I said, something that I really enjoy teaching, because I think many people get this wrong. Oops. Because I think many people get this wrong. But it's one of those things that once you get it, you'll just keep doing it right. And it just sounds so much better. So I just wanted to thank you guys for watching. And please write down in the comments any questions, any practice that you have. Write it down. We'll answer to you guys. If you've liked this lesson, please like it and share it. And I'm sorry if I didn't see everyone's comments. Sometimes I don't see them all, but we will get to them. So thank you guys. Yeah, I'll go to sleep. Let's see. I will go to bed. I will go to bed. Yes. You guys are doing great. Exactly. Thank you guys for joining, and I will see you next time.